Good morning and welcome to our Sunday school class. We hope everyone is having a great morning so far. We'll just go ahead and get back into the healings. We're almost done with the healings, although there's a lot more of Jesus' miracles that
we can cover in our class time.
Right. So we have like maybe 3 or 4 that are left in the healing part, not his miracles, but in the healing part, because there's so many miracles.
There's some that are just like briefly mentioned that we haven't even. It's not even, they're just kind of like side mentions.
Yeah, and some of them are not even really talked about as much as the big, like the ones that you can actually remember.
So we're kind of just doing like a greatest hits thing.
Yes.
And then we're gonna.
Hopefully.
Okay, so let's talk about leprosy. I know we talked a little bit about we talked about palsy, which we came to the conclusion it was like being what's the word I'm looking for? Paralyzed. Thank you. It's like being paralyzed. Leprosy is not like being paralyzed, but you probably wish that you.
It's like your nervous system is paralyzed.
Yes.
I always thought that it had something else. It was like the. Because you always see the picture of the people wrapped up, and you always are like, oh, leprosy is like the, Bible cancer, and
like
then,
a skin disease.
Yeah.
I think it does affect your skin.
I always thought that it was just like eating you, like how it would just eat you and like you take.
I think it does some of that because you waste away.
Yeah.
If you're not using, because if you can't feel that you're using muscles, then sometimes you don't end up using those.
But I thought it was like almost like an acid thing kind of thing where it would eat away your skin, and that's why everybody was bandaged up and all that, and it was.
But they were actually bandaged up because you can't feel anything, so you don't know if you're hurting yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
I was wondering how long that would last. Where there's probably some people who are unbandaged.
Well, I guess it's kind of like people that have what is that thing where when you cut yourself. Let's say you cut yourself, didn't you know it, but it doesn't heal.
Yeah, I cannot think of what it's called right now, but where they have really thin blood and cuts coagulate.
Yes. Yeah. It's not like that, but similar to something kind of like that.
Yeah.
And so I understand the whole wrapping
up. Because if their immune system is already weak,
right?
Then if they hurt themselves and don't know it, then they probably won't heal as well.
That's why I said I understand the whole wrapping thing, because you won't. If you're wrapped, you don't necessarily hurt yourself as much, and if you do, you actually probably notice that you hurt yourself.
Hemophilia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna the 10 lepers. When we talk about the 10 lepers, they're only mentioned in one book of the Bible. Anybody guess what book that is? Luke.
Yes.
Yes.
That was my other
Only
guess.
mentioned in Luke. So let's go to Luke 17.
It was the way she said it.
Yes, because
it's got to be Luke.
Luke the physician.
Yeah.
It could have been either though.
Well, sometimes you like hearing stuff from Luke being a doctor, what his intake on some of them like the miracles and stuff are.
Yeah.
So 17, it says 11.
And it came to pass, as he went to Jerusalem, that he passed through the midst of Samaria and Galilee. And as he entered into a certain village, there met him 10 men that were lepers, which stood afar off. And they lifted up their voices and said, Jesus, Master, have mercy on us. And when he saw them, he said unto them, Go show yourselves unto the priests. And it came to pass that, as they went, they were cleansed. And one of them, when he saw that he was healed, turned back and with a loud voice glorified God. He fell down on his face at his feet, giving him thanks. And he was a Samaritan. And Jesus answering said, Were there not 10 cleansed? But where are the 9? There are not found that returned to give glory to God, save this stranger. And he said unto him, Arise, go thy way, thy faith hath made thee whole.
Okay. So we've heard this one.
Yeah.
We've heard this story preached.
The first thing that I noticed as I was reading through this, I've never thought about it this way before. They met him 10 men that were lepers, which stood afar off. So they were never close to Jesus in the first place.
At all. They just saw him.
Yeah, and then he saw them from afar off, and then they went to go to the priest, and then the man came back and ran to Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah. See, the thing is in this case, it's kind of a weird thing to have happen because on one side they were healed, right? So you'd be like, oh, why wouldn't they go and worship? Why did the other night? But Jesus told them to go to the priest.
Yeah.
Like, so I think in this case, everybody always is like, oh, look at those other 9. But Jesus was like, hey, go to the priest. And when they did, he was like, where'd they go? Like, he was just...
Well, I think he was like that.
It's kind of like he tests people. You know?
Well, I understand that, but, it's
okay,
just
so you think there's this group of people, right? And one goes back to Jesus. Wouldn't you expect the other ones to follow?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because what they knew what was about to happen to them. So you would think that because they knew what was about to happen to them, that when that one went, they're like, oh, he's about to go tell Jesus, thank you for, healing us. You would think that those other 9 would have came back also. That's why people are like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I was running, I probably would notice if somebody wasn't behind me anymore if you just got healed, but who knows?
Well, I mean, it's weird because I think that Jesus did tell them to go to the priest.
Yes.
But he wanted them to want to thank him. So it's not... It's more complicated than just like a surface level, oh, they should have gone back and thanked him. Like, yes, they should have. He did tell them to go to the priest.
Which they did what they told did what he told them.
But in this case, I feel like, when Saul, or take Moses, when God told him to speak to the rock and he hit the rock, God was mad at him for hitting the rock. And Saul, when
because that was an act out of anger.
True, but when they told him to kill everything, and he's like, I saved some for sacrifice, which could have been an excuse, but still, it's like, you would think that following, Jesus Christ is the same yesterday, today, and forever, you'd think that...
Well, keep in mind, Jesus and God are not... They're 3 persons in one, but they're not the same person.
Sure, yeah.
So, like,
it's
and
almost
the
like
Old
they have
Testament...
different personalities.
Yes, and in the Old Testament, God was a God of judgment.
Crazy.
That was, yeah, no, I know what you mean. But, the entire point of, when we looked at all the Old Testament miracles, and as we were reading through some of that stuff, it showed that God was a God of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
So
whereas
he did
his
judge
son,
them. Exactly. He was more merciful because he is the mediator that was sent.
Right.
So I think that it's not really lenience. It's more like he appreciated, because they were already cleansed.
Yeah.
And when he saw that he was healed, he turned back and with a loud voice glorified God and fell down on his face at his feet giving him thanks. And he was a Samaritan. So it's not really, I don't know. It's like...
I feel like that's something the disciples focused on probably a lot more than Jesus did because he didn't really care. But the disciples, I love that in the side tone, like, Andy was a Samaritan. Like,
well,
because they hated him, they were like, I can't believe it. He would heal. No, I know, but I'm just saying in general. No, all of the Jews hated Samaritans for the most part. And so you'd be,
honestly, they didn't like anybody that was not a Jew.
Well, if Luke talked to any of the disciples about it, that's what they would have said. They would have and he was a Samaritan. Can you believe that?
Which is funny because you'd think after listening to the parable about the Good Samaritan and seeing the things that Jesus did for Samaritans, that they would kind of get over that. But
they
I
did.
can't believe it. Wow, amazing. It's just a Samaritan.
I think it is like an important distinction to make, though, given the stigma surrounding the Samaritans.
It is.
I think it was. I think it's an interesting thing to know.
But it's kind of like I think a lot of times just like
the one who came back was the one who didn't like the Jews and the Jews didn't like him.
Yeah.
It just feels like, imagine that Jesus loves all people and they always have to bring it up, because
and he was a Samaritan.
And he was a Samaritan. He should have not healed that guy, He
healed him even though he was a Samaritan.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's like when Jesus sat at the table eating supper with sinners. And the Jews was like, he's doing what? He's eating with who?
Yeah.
Right.
And then... But then it just takes you to the scripture that says,
I think we've all been in that situation, given that we do go to weddings, you know? We've all been eating with sinners.
What were you saying?
Well,
Sorry.
I mean, yeah, but he said he didn't. Does one that is well need a doctor?
Right.
A person that's saved, do they need a, you know, he didn't come, he came to seek and to save that which was lost.
Bring sinners. to
It bring
repentance.
sin, and so why wouldn't he sit at the table with them?
Right.
Yeah.
And then his example, the way that he led with example there, is what drove Peter and the rest of the living disciples to continue the ministry to the Gentiles.
Yeah.
And Jesus' interactions with the Romans,
Yeah.
all of that.
He interacted with everybody. It didn't matter
Yeah.
who it was.
He was
The-
no respecter of
For
persons.
the lepers, they saw him from afar off. It says afar off.
And
They saw
weren't-
Jesus.
They knew it was Jesus.
Yeah,
They
they
weren't
knew
about
exactly
to come
who-
near him because
Right.
they respected him.
This
and
is
they knew
it's
who
the
he
same
was.
thing with the centurion not wanting him to come under his roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he
Because-
knew that he would
It
be
shows respect.
showed
who
unclean.
Jesus was.
Yeah.
Because that's all they needed at that point. They had so many tabloid stories. All they needed was probably, one thing that he did that would consider him unclean and no one would have believed him. Which, to be fair, a lot of Jews don't believe him anyway. But,
And Jesus knew that. And
Yeah.
But he continued to show.
Well, where is it? There's one place where he touched the leprous guy, right? Yeah, I don't know where it is exactly, but like he touched him to heal him.
Oh,
I
we'll
think
have to
it's
look
a
and
certain
see it.
place,
It's
yeah.
probably the next one we're about to do.
Could be.
But
I think
This is
I
a-
think this whole thing is just interesting
yeah, it
because
is.
there's so many details
Mhm.
that they didn't have to put in there.
But they
Like,
did.
Yeah.
Well, like the afar off thing was like a great detail because Jesus
Yeah.
would just
I've never
normally
specifically noticed
walk up to them.
Yeah.
that. Or they
When
would,
they would
walk
walk
up
up to him, knowing that what was about to happen to them. But for some reason, in this healing, they just saw him afar off. He saw them afar off. Told them, "Go show yourselves to the priest."
That's what makes me feel like it's more. That's why kind of I felt like Jesus had wanted them to come back because it's even more a testament to this man's character and who he was that he was already afar off.
Yeah.
And Jesus was like, okay, I'm gonna tell them to go see the priest. Let's see what happens.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. Well, and it lets you see also, which this is how I see, when you need a healing and stuff like that, and you go show yourselves, or our case, go to the doctors, and when we get to them, they find out that nothing's wrong with him. Then we go back to Jesus and give him the glory for it because it was really because of him that I was healed.
Right.
So even afar off, you can still be healed and go back and give God the glory for it, even if it's just one of you. Really.
I didn't notice this before, but and Jesus answering said, "Were there not 10 cleansed? But where are the 9?" He sent them away. But then they're not found that return to give glory to God, save this stranger.
Yeah,
so
I saw that too.
apparently,
Well, he
even
didn't-
Jesus was like, "Yeah, this guy's a Samaritan. I can't believe it."
No, I don't think
I
it's
think
like
it was
I
that.
just
stranger as in he
Yeah,
didn't
I know.
him.
No, there's no way it wasn't. He didn't know him. He didn't know anyone he healed, just about, except for maybe Peter's brother-in-law. But I think
personal
he's saying
healings.
Samaritan.
Yeah.
When you look at all the healings that Jesus did, they were not they were not personal. Like they weren't close to him. They were somebody that he saw on the side of the road. There's somebody that he saw in the crowd. You know, like
Wait
stuff
a
like
second. He was in Samaria. He was in Samaria.
In the
He
midst of
said
Samaria.
he passed through the midst
Yeah.
of Samaria.
But
and
this
they're
is
like,
Luke
this guy was a
talking.
Samaritan.
This
I
is
know.
Luke saying, and he was a Samaritan.
It's just so funny
What
to me
in-
that
what
they're
else would
in
he
the
be?
midst of Samaria.
Right. But what else would
and,
he be?
and then they're like, look at that.
Well,
he
I
was
think
a Samaritan.
it looks like it's in between Samaria and Galilee.
He passed through- yeah, I guess.
In the midst of Samaria and Galilee. So
I
there's two
suppose.
places. It's in the middle.
Yeah.
It's kind of funny that they're right by Samaria.
That
They're
is
like,
funny,
I
though.
can't believe there was a Samaritan there.
But
Jesus' disciples could be kind of dense
They were,
sometimes,
yeah.
So.
very much so.
Peter means rock, and his head was solid.
Got some rock
So
jiggling around
we
here.
don't find the story of the 10 lepers in any of the other gospels. It's only in Luke.
So it's cool that we got like the physician perspective.
Yes, the physician's perspective of the 10 lepers. What would have happened if all of them came back?
Same thing. Probably Jesus would have just said, "Hey, thank you," and then we would have just left.
But notice though, and what is it? And fell down on his face. Wait, no, go back. Where he told them to go, they were cleansed. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They were cleansed. But the one that came back, thy faith hath made thee whole.
I wonder if it came back, like, for the 9, or there was, like, side effects.
No. Jesus wouldn't have done that because he
Like-
didn't heal them.
Well, no, not quite that.
Well, no,
way.
that's what I'm saying. Like when. How do I explain that? I had this all in my. I had it all together, but then I just lost it.
Well, if
When
they
you're
were
cleansed.
then
No, like,
the
altogether.
leprosy just probably would have left. But I don't know that all of their injuries would have.
Went away.
Yeah, that's what I
Right.
was thinking. Is there
But
So,
if
but
he
if
was
you're
made
being
whole-
whole, there's no sign of
Yeah.
it at all.
Yeah.
Exactly. So maybe that's the distinction of
Be-
him specifically saying
Being
being
whole. And once again, thy faith hath made thee whole. It's always in there.
interesting.
Yeah. It's always in there.
Yeah.
Being cleansed and being whole.
Yeah.
Makes you think, really.
Yeah.
Alright,
All right.
let's get into the other leper.
Oh, the other thing I was thinking
Go
of,
ahead.
and this is kind of a side note, but it was about Gehazi, where I never understood that part at first about being a leper as white as snow, which possibly could be because I'm white. But what happened is I always thought that it meant that he didn't have any skin condition. They were in Israel. I don't know why I thought this, but he didn't have any skin condition. He was a leper, but he didn't have any physical signs. But probably because I'm white, I was just like, oh, he's a white guy. And then I realized, oh no, it's because his skin literally was white. He was the Michael Jackson of Elisha.
It's like some kind of skin.
Yeah, I always thought for some reason that it meant that he just
Okay, I hope.
was whole the whole
Yeah.
time.
I hope I got these right by looking at it. Okay, so Matthew 7, 2 through 4. It's only a couple verses. Mark 1.
That's not.
Huh?
Matthew 7, 2 through 4 is
Right.
the beam and the moat stuff.
Hold on. So that's what I said. I don't know if I.
You have
Did I?
a piece of
I
dirt
wrote
in
down
your
the
eye.
wrong
You
one
have
again.
a
Which
Mark
piece
is
of-
right.
Hold on.
How is that
Matthew.
even a thing?
Luke
by
is
the way?
right.
Which one? Where'd he go?
You know, Jesus thought people crazy for that one. I mean, they did usually, but that was just
Okay,
weird.
Mark
You have a
1,
piece of dirt in your eye. Yeah,
40
you have a
through
piece of
45.
wood sticking in
Matthew. Oh, it's 8. That's why.
Oh, I see it.
there. Which
8.
one is
8,
Luke?
1 through.
Is
Yeah.
there
8,
one in
2
Luke?
through 4.
Yeah.
Luke 5, 12 through 16.
The other two are right.
And I'll do Mark 1, 40 through
Right.
45. So let's start with
Alright.
Matthew.
And when he was come down from the mountain, great multitudes followed him. And behold, there came a leper and worshipped him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. And Jesus put forth his hand and touched him, saying,
Yeah.
I will, be thou clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Jesus saith unto him, See thou tell no man, but go thy way, show thyself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded for a testimony unto them.
Okay. Mark. Do you have Mark?
I have Luke.
Oh, so let me do Mark. Mark 1.
40 through 45.
Okay. And there came a leper to him, beseeching him, and kneeling down to him, and said unto him, If thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. And Jesus, moved with compassion, put forth his hand and touched him, and said unto him, I will, be thou clean. And as soon as he had spoken, immediately the leprosy departed from him, and he was cleansed. And he straightly charged him, and forthwith sent him away, and saith unto him, See thou say nothing to any man, but go thy way, show thyself to the priest, and offer thy cleansing. Offer for thy cleansing those things which Moses commanded for a testimony unto them. But he went out and began to publish it much, and to blaze abroad the matter, insomuch that Jesus could no more openly enter into the city, but was without in desert places, and they came to him from every quarter.
Blaze abroad.
Like blaze abroad.
Wow.
And published. He probably was going on those talk shows,
No.
coming, kill him. So hey, look at this! I was a leper. And
Jim
then
was
Luke-
the guard people.
yeah, the Dr. Phil just went on with before and after pictures. This is when I was a leper. And then,
Luke.
I know.
5.
And it came to pass when he was in a certain city, behold, a man full of leprosy, who seeing Jesus fell on his face, ouch, and besought him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou canst make me clean. And he put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be thou clean. And immediately the leprosy departed from him. And he charged him to tell no one, but to go and And he charged him to tell no man, but go and show thyself to the priest, and offer for thy cleansing according as Moses commanded, for a testimony unto them. But so much the more went there a fame abroad of him, and great multitudes came together to hear and to be healed by him of their infirmities. And then next thing is pray. Full of leprosy. What a descriptive language we have
He
here.
was halfway.
Yeah.
He was halfway.
full
Okay.
of leprosy.
So reading just these 3 accounts, which account do you consider to be the better descriptive one?
Luke.
I don't know about Luke.
Luke and Mark.
But so
definitely.
much the more went there of fame abroad of him. What, like, the wording in that is so great.
I'm gonna go with, I think Mark.
Yeah, the
Mark's-
blaze abroad.
The
kinda
blaze
got me.
abroad was
That
like,
was cool, yeah.
And Jesus moved with compassion, so like it's very
yes.
personal.
That verse 13, he put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will be thou clean, is almost exactly the same as Matthew. Like, I think the only difference is Jesus. Is it said Jesus touched him and put forth his hand or whatever.
Well, you notice too. Wait, hold on. Let me go back.
Where was Mark again? Let me go.
1, Mark 1.
Let's think.
Where was he coming from? Because it didn't one of them say he was coming from somewhere.
And when he was come down from the mountain.
So it was
Yeah.
just him.
Yeah, because this was right after.
Yeah, because I was
the
just saying
Sermon
all
on
that.
the Mount.
Yeah, it was just him then. Because I was like, if Jesus was with a crowd and they saw a leopard, a leopard, oh my word,
I would run.
I would run. A leper, they wouldn't. I don't think he would have came as close as he did to Jesus. And so he was
Probably
by
not.
Jesus was by himself at this point. And that was Mark's description of this miracle, this healing, was pretty cool, really.
Matthew
Yeah.
had nothing in it.
Nothing.
Nothing, no.
Yeah,
it
it's
is.
like,
They
oh, he's
just
clean.
gave
Yeah,
the
he's
faces back.
clean.
Yes. Well, of
He
course,
didn't even
Luke.
talk about him talking all about it. He just was like, yeah, he's clean now.
Mark only has five verses. Luke has 4. But in those 5 verses that Mark has, they're pretty descriptive.
Yeah.
And it, of course, Mark he put in there. Jesus moved with compassion. But I don't think in the other 2 they even talked about
Yeah.
how compassionate
didn't say
Jesus
that.
was. Does it say that in Luke about Jesus'
no.
compassion or Matthew?
It just said if any put forth his hand and touched him.
Yeah.
I think it's interesting though because Jesus touching him was already a very out there decision.
Yeah.
Because any close contact, being anywhere near a leper, would have had
Yeah.
anyone else shunned. But after even knowing that Jesus touched the man and he healed him,
Yes. Was
he still had so many people coming into him for healings. He had to leave the city.
right. Well, and because the leopard went and blazed abroad,
Yeah.
the matter Jesus he couldn't go back. He couldn't go back into the
I wish
city.
they had more names in these. Like they had blind Bartimaeus, but other than that,
No, they don't have any
names.
names.
Just like the blind man and like,
Right, the blind man or
the man born lame.
Peter's mother-in-law, but we knew who she was.
Yeah.
Right. And when he was in a certain city. Like this
I wonder
feels
if they
like when
talk
someone
about
writes
that.
a book
Do
and
you
they
remember
change
the
name.
man born blind?
Yeah, what was his name again?
They didn't say
I
it.
don't know. We just know he was a man born blind.
He was a man born blind. I wonder if they actually knew
Well,
the names.
it kind of makes sense, honestly, with the context, because Jesus didn't
Like
personally,
Legion, they had
publicly
Legion.
know all the people.
Yeah.
What do I
Legion
That's
was
Legion?
his name.
I know, but like, exactly. They would probably call him Legion.
That's probably who they called him.
Yeah, you remember Legion? Well, not Legion, I guess.
That was a dark time, man. Please don't bring that up.
Right.
Hey, Legion, you messed up my pigs, man. I used to have a bunch of pigs and you killed them all.
Like, what pigs?
But, this was actually one of the miracles where Jesus was by himself. Nobody was with him. Because it doesn't, I mean, we can go back and look.
This is with the disciples.
I really just had the thought, oh, how'd the disciples find out? After just hearing that the man blazed abroad.
Yeah. Yeah. He began to tell everybody. The disciples weren't sure how it happened.
Right, but we know.
Yeah.
They're like walking down
Luke's
the street.
work easy for him, finding all that information.
They're walking down the street and this guy's yelling about, hey, they're like, wait, what? No, really?
Wait, somebody else is healed? Oh, no, it's you. Oh, it was Jesus. Yes, it was Jesus. He did it. There's nobody else is healing people. Too bad.
Well, you know how when something exciting happens
almost,
to you too,
it's almost like when
you really keep quiet about it.
Yeah. Well, to me, like this thing where the disciples would want to be on Jesus' side with all this is kind of, like they'd want to see him healing a bunch of people. And it's like, I don't personally do this, but like if you watch football and you like really like one guy, so like Tom Brady or something, and somebody else on that team scores a touchdown. Well, I guess that's okay. But when he does it, you're like, oh, that's amazing! I love it. This is amazing.
It's interesting
like
because the disciples still weren't with Jesus when he withdrew himself into the wilderness and prayed. And this was even Jesus hadn't called his disciples yet.
Oh, yeah, there were none. There were no disciples. This is probably in his non-famous phase where he just
no, because this was before he called the disciples.
This is in the beginning of Mark, too.
Yeah, because Jesus called Matthew like 10 verses after.
So he did a lot of
the disciples.
I was gonna say he did a lot of healings before he called his disciples.
Yeah.
It's the crowd work, where you gotta have those early days where you gotta build up your.
Stop it.
You gotta build up your career before you start getting, your team together.
But he did.
Well,
like looking in Mark,
the entire like Simon Peter and James interaction.
Right.
With the
It's like
fish,
us
that happened right before the lepers. So I'm sure Peter
You
and
get the
James were
reputation.
following him.
Yeah.
I thought
So they would have been with him, but
You probably heard about him. They were like, "Hey, that's that Jesus guy who heals people. I guess I'll follow him." But if he hadn't done that, they
well,
probably.
Jesus called them to be fishers of men before that. So.
Well, John was still alive then too, obviously.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, James is John.
John the Baptist.
Oh, that John. Yeah, that was
too. There's a bunch of Johns.
Well, only the ones that we really know.
Right. That's true.
John's quite a popular name.
No, John the Baptist was the first John.
Yeah, I was in the car and I literally was like, I said Jesus was the John of the Bible, and then I was like, oh no, it's Joseph, and then they're like, no, it's John is the John of the Bible, and I was like, I'm such an idiot that I tried to figure out what was the John of the Bible where everybody was John. Oh, and I was like, Joseph was the John of the Bible. What a dumb thing to say.
Like the name?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like saying how we have Johns and like how you have in you have Jose or Juan or popular names like that and in different places, and I was like, I wonder what the John of the Bible would have been.
All right, so we finished the 10 lepers. There's only 2 places to actually talk about the lepers. Hopefully next week we will be able to finish the healings and move on to some of the other ones. There's a whole bunch. I'll figure out which ones it is, but I hope it's keeping you interested and that it's encouraging you also that you can be healed and that even the mustard seed of faith that you do have is going to help you be healed. I hope you. I don't know why I'm stuttering over my words. I've been talking this whole time. Anyway, hope you join us for our Sunday morning worship service. Have a great rest of your day.